Well, when I come back from a little 2-3 day trip, I like to come out and just spend time with the flock, just to make sure that they're nice and healthy and are doing well before I go out here and secure some more business so that I can provide a decent lifestyle for my family. But that's what I like to do. I like to get out here and just check them out, make sure that they're okay. And when it comes to a flock and being a shepherd, one of the main things that you notice or that you'll notice about a healthy flock is by their shit. And making sure that their tail ends are not dripping with a whole bunch of shit. Now, what happens is that, when you transition from season to season, they're going to get the runs. I mean, it's all natural, but for the most part, once they settled in, you should be able to just check their droppings to ensure that they're nice and healthy. And me, I haven't dewormed my flock in years. I haven't done anything in terms of giving them any kind of antibiotics or anything like that for many, 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 many years. I'm talking about 5-6 years. I have not had the or I have not needed to deworm them or anything like that because they're healthy, and I keep them healthy, and they have a healthy. It's a healthy passion, and so therefore it translates to a healthy flock. But the reason why I wanted to make this video and talk about this stuff is, the letters talk about those who preach the gospel must live the gospel. And, it's amazing how we look forward to today and we see people that don't live the gospel at all, but they preach the gospel. Now, what does it mean by living the gospel? It's talking about not only the notion or the idea that of the works of the Messiah, but in addition to that, the lifestyle of the Messiah. The lifestyle, when you look at the lifestyle and what they did, whether it was Paul or Peter or James or the apostles, or the Messiah himself, what was the lifestyle that they had? What kind of life did they lead? How did they provide for their families? What did they do? Did they live off the backs of others, or did they get out there and they got after it? We all know the truth behind that. But your modern day, they ain't gonna tell you about that. They ain't gonna preach on that. But that's what the problem is. We have novices, people that haven't really lived anything for any length of time, but they want to preach to you. They want to teach you something. But when they look at the mannerism of their lifestyle, they're running dirty. When you look at their families, they're running dirty. It's all in disarray, and it's pretty sad. It really is pretty sad. And this stuff needs to be talked about, and it's amazing how people won't talk about this kind of stuff. They won't address these issues because they know that they don't line up. They know that the mannerism of people's lifestyle, it just doesn't line up with the word. It talks again about how can a man who can't lead his own house lead in an assembly? How could he do that? It talks about those who preach the gospel who must live the gospel. Now I'm talking about somebody that got out and they purchased some land and then turn around and whoa, I live the gospel. No, you got to have a certain degree or a certain amount of time in this thing to absorb what it means to live this gospel, and then you can speak on matters because you can understand it from the natural than the spiritual. This is why he said those who preach the gospel must live the gospel. Your mannerism, we got too many novices out here. We got too many people that just haven't had any real length of time, in this walk, and that's really qualified to teach people because they themselves have not lived it for any serious length of time. It is pretty sad. It's pretty sad, but you have all these people coming into the faith, and they haven't lived damn near nothing at all. They've lived a very much worldly life in there, and their families have lived pretty much a worldly life. Um, and it's good that people are coming into the faith, but it takes time. It really does take time to absorb this thing. And I'm not talking about the 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I'm talking about the people at least 10 years at least of living this thing. For people to have a real good solid foundation of what it means to do this thing. I mean, it took a amount of time to learn how to be a shepherd. It took a certain amount of years to learn how to be a carpenter. It took a certain amount of years in order to be proficient at hunting deer, skinning deer. It took a certain amount of time and effort to learn these things. I just didn't go and just boom and boom. And no, it didn't take place like that. It took place through trial and error, through learning and through patience and through ups and downs. That's how I learn these things. But if you have people out there that haven't gone through the rigors of all of this thing, you're going to run into problems. You're going to run into serious problems because you come to find that a lot of people, they should have never been in the position that they were in the first place. Because when you look at the mannerisms of their lifestyle, you look at their fruit, it doesn't match up with those who preach the gospel must live the gospel. I tell you, man. You want to learn a lot about people? You want to learn a lot about the mannerism people? Just spend some time watching a flock. Just spend some time just paying attention to just watch a flock. Watch how they move. Watch their temperament. You see how they all move together? You see how a sick sheep, he's going to separate themselves, whether male or female, they're going to separate themselves from the flock. We need to draw together. This is the example right here. You see, they all graze together. They all, humans are a little bit different. And that's why he said, fellowship and making sure you're getting around people of like mind and precious faith. Everything ain't exacting when it comes to this thing, when it comes to a flock. But at the same time, certain things do rhyme. I'll tell you, it's a good understanding. And it will resonate with those who live it.